or get information on getting an autographed copy of my New York Times best-selling book, A Simple Government. He's running for president to fix Washington, but is he the man for the job? I spoke to Republican hopeful Tim Pawlenty earlier. Governor, it's great to have you here. Let's get right to one of the big issues. You have faced some criticism. Some of it has come from a former Republican governor of Minnesota, Arne Carlson, who says that you left a deficit and used one-time money to plug a budget hole. How do you respond to that?
Well, real simply, every two-year budget during my time as governor was balanced. It has to be under the Minnesota Constitution. And the last budget, the one that ends this summer, even after I'm leaving office, is going to end in the black. So I'm proud of that record. The projected deficit, like most states have for the upcoming 2 years, is based on very large projected spending increases, which I don't support. And to my friend, former Governor Carlson, who is an Obama and Kerry supporter, I don't think he's a very neutral observer of these facts.
Did you have to use one-time money to plug a budget hole? Was that part of the strategy to balance?
In terms of that, we did use the federal money like all states did, and so that's not unusual across the country. And we did defer some payments to school districts, but they indicated they preferred that to outright cuts. But I also asked, Mike, importantly, on these one-time deferrals, I asked the legislature, the Democratic legislature, to make them permanent. They declined, but now the legislature is in fact doing that. So what I requested them to do last year is going to become true.
You may face kind of an unusual situation in that you might not be the only Minnesotan in the presidential race if Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann gets in. Tell me what kind of challenge that presents to have two people from Minnesota, and particularly in relationship to the neighboring state of Iowa. How then important is it for you to win Iowa and not Congresswoman Bachmann?
Congresswoman Bachmann is a friend and somebody that I've supported over the years. Everybody has different records and styles and backgrounds, and so I think she'll bring a lot to the race. I think she'd be a formidable competitor, particularly in places like Iowa. But, you know, we have, everybody's got their own record and own vision for America. She'll have to share hers, I'll share mine, assuming we both go forward.
Do you have to win in Iowa? I mean, if she beats you there, or if you don't, maybe it's not her, but it's someone else, is that sort of the do-all for you?
I think anybody who's running has to, particularly if you're not well-known or don't have overwhelming resources, we're going to have enough if I run to be successful and be competitive. But you have to do well or win one of those early states. And I don't think it's one in particular, but you got to win one of them pretty quickly in the process. And Iowa, of course, is first up.
Also, Governor, back 4 years ago, you were a strong backer of Senator McCain, and you campaigned vigorously for him across the country. I believe, frankly, you were his #1 surrogate. What is the reaction you have if someone says, oh, well, you're closely aligned with Senator McCain, and if you like Senator McCain, you're going to love Governor Pawlenty, and that you're a younger version of Senator McCain? Is that a fair assessment? And if not, tell me where you're different. Where are you different than Senator John McCain on key issues?
Well, Mike, I'm definitely younger than Senator McCain.
I'm getting to the place where I'm not, so you can claim that joyfully.
Yeah, well, actually, look, I supported Senator McCain and proudly did so, but everybody's got their own record, and so I campaigned for him, as ultimately you did, and I think our whole party did. So that didn't work for obvious reasons. But in my case, I'm a governor. I've had executive leadership. If you look at the Cato Institute rankings of records, only 4 governors in the country got an A grade from the Cato Institute. That's a tough grading group. The other 3 aren't running for president. So if you look at my record, it's a consistent conservative record of cutting taxes, reforming schools, welfare reform, immigration
but where are you
reform,
different than Senator McCain
and the rest?
But Governor, where would you say the differences are between you and Senator McCain? Because your opponents are going to use that to say, this is a younger version of John McCain. So how will you respond to that?
Well, there's going to be many policy differences. For example, he was somebody who I think supported the TARP approach or the bailout approach. I did not, and there's going to be many of those. So there's to suggest that my issue positions are exactly the same. His just wouldn't be accurate.
What about on enhanced interrogation? I know that that's when he has been very vocal in being opposed to. Do you support enhanced interrogation? Do you think it factored into the killing of Osama bin Laden?
Well, the news reports pretty clearly indicate that it is likely or, in fact, confirmed that some or all of those techniques led to information that led to the location of Osama bin Laden. I've been a supporter of enhanced interrogation techniques under certain limited circumstances.
Governor, one final question. You were somewhat critical of the Republicans in Congress, led by John Boehner, when they got the $38 billion deal. You said it was really not enough. They should have gone for more. You, 2 years ago in May, also made a deal with Democrats, ended up getting half of what you wanted in terms of a budget cut. Tell me what's different.
Well, in my case, we got the budget balanced. I balanced the budget for 8 years, like I mentioned before. I unallotted the money out of the state's budget in Minnesota, more executive unallotment of spending during my 8 years as governor than the other 142 years worth of governors combined. So I think the Democrats in Minnesota would tell you we didn't get a half a loaf, we got all or most of the loaf.
Governor, I appreciate your being here. It's always a pleasure. My best to Mary, and have fun out there on the campaign trail.
Thanks, Governor. Thanks for having me on the show, and best to you and Janet.